G'day, I'm Paul. So you are probably sick to death of me talking about SUVs. So I have a reward for you patient people who watch me all the time. The Genesis G70 Shooting Brake. It's like a wagon, but a shooting brake, which is like a sleek looking wagon. This is available in Australia in one specification. This is priced at just under $80,000. This competes with things like the BMW 3 Series, the Volkswagen Arteon shooting brake, and the Audi A4 Avant, even though the BMW and the Audi are just sort of standard wagons in that sense. Today we're going to do a detailed review of this car, so if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of the review, you can use the time codes on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon. That's going to tell you every single time we drive these very, very white cars. Now let's talk exterior. So you've got 15 external colours to pick from, and guess what? They are all free of charge except the matte colours. They're $2,000 extra. I've said this before on Genesis reviews, the matte colours look sensational, and I think regardless of which model you choose, be daring, get a matte colour. I think they just look fantastic. Sorry about the flies. Now, what about the design? So G70, it is a very similar product to the Stinger. And in that sense, we have reviewed the G70 before, and I did enjoy it because I like the Stinger as well. It's got that sort of punchy engine. This one here is only available in Australia with the 4-cylinder petrol, so I'm hoping that sort of doesn't take away from it too much. Up the front here, you've got that big, proudly worn Genesis logo. You've got a radar just down the bottom here, and they've tried to sort of disguise that within the grille by giving it the same design as the grille elements just next to it. Those grille elements have this gold finish to them as well. It's like a glossy gold finish, and I think that looks really nice. And then down the bottom here, that sort of changes to just a matte black finish. So that integrates nicely with the body color. So cooling there for the engine, and down the bottom as well. Big number plate section there, and then a camera hidden up the top. Over here, in terms of the headlights, you have LED daytime running lights and a full set of LED headlights. So quite a nice little array there. And again, just like other Genesis products, this is the signature there with that twin daytime running light setup that turns into an indicator as well. Around the side here, you've got a set of 19-inch alloy wheels. It's got that machined finish on the outside and then a glossy finish on the inside. Really nice design, and these remind me of another car. I don't know exactly what it is, but the wheels look familiar. If you know what it is, let me know in the comments section below. Behind there, you've got a big set of Brembo stoppers. The tyres are pretty decent as well. It's got a set of Michelin Pilot Sport 4s on it, so they are a pretty sort of grippy tyre in the dry, and they do an okay job in the wet. It's my only issue with Michelin's wet performance isn't amazing. Over here, you've got like a fake air vent built into the side of the car. Along the top here, you have a chrome finish around the wing mirror, LED indicator, and then a camera down here for both the 360 camera and also the blind spot camera that I'll show you when we go for a bit of a drive. Up the top here, you have an opening sunroof that sort of cuts off halfway down the back of the car there. And then if you come around to the rear, have a look at this. So this is the bit I love the most about this car. It is such a unique design, and it really turns heads. The sedan looks good. I think the sedan looks fantastic, but this really takes it to another level. So up the top there, you've got a shark fin aerial. Have a look at this spoiler element. So you've got air that runs along the top of the car and then down through here and down the back glass. So it's a really nice, sleek looking design. Brake light built into this section just here, and then your wiper sits here with a button here to open the boot. Genesis branding just there, and then G70 with 2-litre turbo. I do love these LED taillight elements as well. They really make the car stand out at night time. And then you have a twin set of real exhaust pipes down the bottom. So let me know what you reckon about the shooting brake design. Do you think it looks good, and would you get this over the sedan version? Let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Okay, so we are inside the G70. I do apologise, I have a drinking problem. I've spilt stuff all over me, so that's what that is. This is what the key looks like. So you've got lock, unlock, remote start, boot, and then on the back you have the Genesis logo. I love this though, watch this. So bang, it's like a switchblade type thing. So this deploys if you want to attach this to a keychain or something like that, or if you just want to keep it in your pocket. You can just close that up. This is a proximity sensing key, so you leave that in your pocket and then you have a push button start to kick things off. Now, the design. This is what I like about Genesis. They're just a little bit more daring in terms of the design and the way they present things. So this isn't quite what you see in the GV70, which has that giant infotainment screen and feels a little more futuristic than this does. But in saying that, this still actually looks quite cool. Ahead of us, we have that big display with the 3D elements that I'll go through later on. You got this sort of leather stitching all the way down the side of the car, and it's got this darker brown tanned leather, which I think looks great as well. And they're nicely separated with these brushed aluminium highlights. So really nice looking interior, and big fan of sort of what they've done here. So double tick there. Now, what about your touch points? So a little bit firm there in the center, soft on the doors. How soft is it? Well, we've got our gyrometer. We've tested the main surfaces in this cabin. If you want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description. Now, what about build quality? It actually feels nice and solid. There is a rattle coming out of this roof though, and according to Genesis, it's a known issue, but that is annoying and shouldn't exist on a new car. What about our door? Yeah, that's got a really nice and confident thud to it as well. Moving on to infotainment. So this is going to look familiar. It's similar to other Kia and Hyundai infotainment systems. So that's your home screen there. It's a 10.25-inch display. You have profile selection up the top there, and then as you swipe across, this is where you see the rest of your menu items. A couple of things I thought I'd point out. You have a manual built into the infotainment screen. You also have sounds of nature. So it means if you do want some soothing noises, it will play those, and it's actually pretty cool because I can hear the 3D stuff out the back there as well. So really nice little setup there. Get rid of sounds of nature. Over here you also have radio in the form of AM, FM and DAB plus digital radio. That's all pumped through a 15-speaker Lexicon branded sound system, and it is a great sound system, really impressive, and one of the better ones I've heard in a car recently. In addition to that, you have a voice memo function and the ability to project your smartphone onto the screen. Also has inbuilt satellite navigation. I'll show you what Apple CarPlay and Android Auto looks like, and we'll start off with Apple CarPlay. So full screen integration, and that is so quick and sharp as well. Very impressive setup. Let's have a look at Android Auto. So yeah, full screen integration, but you can't get this on the side. So I've been told that this is a limitation of Android Auto and not the vehicle. So it just makes no sense to me. If you're at Android or at Google sort of coming up with this stuff and you go, okay, let's make the display. Who comes up with the idea to just stop the display there and not have anything on this side? It is truly bizarre. So if you know the reason why, let me know down there. Let's talk quickly about the screen ahead of the driver. So you get this stuff here. So instead of analog gauges, it's a full digital display. You might think to yourself, yeah, big deal. But what they've done here is actually, it's a little bit trippy. So it's a 3D display. So what you can do is adjust things like the design. So I'll show you how that switches between the different designs. So you can see that sort of movement between those. But more interestingly is the 3D mode. So there it's off, and then if I go to maximum, it's really hard for us to capture this on video, but it adds depth to that screen. So basically layers everything. So when you look at it, it all looks 3D. I don't love it because while you're driving it, it's a bit hard to focus on things. So I don't know if that's just me, but you know, I like the fact that they've done something like that, but it can be just a little bit distracting while you are driving, but it is there nevertheless. In the center, you have your trip computer, and you can run through those different settings and then run through different menus as well. So yeah, cool setup, and I think it's great to see that it's standard on this particular specification. Safety technology. So you have autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. It's low and high speed AEB. You have an auto dimming rear vision mirror, lane departure warning and a lane keeping assistant. It has a self-steering function, but it doesn't really work that well. I think I mentioned in our Sorrento review that especially at the moment with all the roadworks that are going on, the car's just all over the place. It doesn't know which lines to use, so I just turn that stuff off. You get radar cruise control. Now, you have blind spot monitoring on the wing mirror, but you get the blind spot monitor on the display here as well, and I think this is such a great integration, one of my favorite features of Kia and Hyundai products. I'll show you what that looks like when we go out for a drive. You get rear cross traffic alert, and then in terms of parking, you have both front and rear parking sensors and a 360 camera. I'll show you what that looks like. There it is there. So the quality is actually pretty good. It's quite overcast today, but plenty of detail. Camera sits quite low as well, so you're getting some good definition on the ground there. You can then change the views as required. So this one looks down the back there, so you don't curve the wheels. But yeah, plenty of options there to see exactly what the car is doing, and then guidelines that move with the steering wheel as well. Okay, now Practicality, and we'll start off with your connectivity options. So you've got a 12-volt outlet down the bottom here, USB port, and then you have wireless phone charging. You also have a USB port here in the center console with your wireless phone charging and storage of your phone in general. You just whack your phone down on that little pad there, it'll kick off, or you can pop your phone in the center there where the drink holders are. Speaking of drinks, a little coffee cup. Yeah, it wasn't as successful as I wanted it to be this morning, because look at this, it just disappears into there. So I kind of just prop my keys under it so it sits a little higher, and that kind of tends to do the job. In addition to that, you have little teeth there holding your bottle in. Bottle fits in there nicely, and the bottle goes inside the door too. I reckon we're going to have no luck at all with our big bottle. So it doesn't fit in there. It doesn't fit inside the door either. Other storage, so you have your center console here, reasonably sized. You have a glove box over here, kind of okay. Once your manual's in there, it takes up a bit of room, but it's not the end of the world. And finally, you have a sunglasses holder up the top here. And finally, comfort, you have dual zone automatic climate control up the front here. You've got heated and cooled seats for both the driver and the front passenger. You have a heated steering wheel. I love the seat design. Wowee, this looks so cool. So you've got that same sort of brown finish, a little bit of brushed aluminium up the top there, and then it's all perforated with the diamond stitching as well. Now that premium finish on the seats goes over to the doors as well. You've got that diamond stitching there. Then all the way up the top here, you've got this suede-like material and a sunroof there as well. So it is a pretty impressive setup. In terms of seat adjustment, both the driver and front passenger seat are electrically adjustable. So you can go forwards, backwards, backrest, forwards, backwards. You can adjust your bolster in and out. You can move the front section of the seat in and out. There really are a whole stack of adjustments there that you have access to. You also have memory for the driver's side. The steering wheel is electrically adjustable and offers both tilt and reach adjustment. And then our reach test. So that stuff is all easy to reach while you're driving. There is no room back here at all. Have a look at this. My knees are like well and truly wedged into there, but even worse, my toes are just literally wedged under the seat. I can't even move them, and headroom is okay. Yeah, look, my seat is quite far back, but I don't know, it's just the standard driving position I have in all of these cars, and this is really poor amount of legroom for something that's as big as this is. So yeah, a little disappointed with that. Air vents down here, you've got a USB point down there. You've also got the ability to move your passenger seat forwards and backwards using controls attached to the seat. You've got map pockets just there, center armrest with two cup holders, so your bottle can easily slide into there. It can also fit inside the door. Actually, no, it can't. The packaging back here is really bad. So yeah, this is your only option for bottle storage. You do have heated seats here though for the two outboard seats. And then let's see if our window goes all the way down. Yes, it does. There you go. There is one bonus there, which is quite nice. I do like the seat designs. You've got that sort of diamond quilting on that as well. You've got ISOFIX points on the two outboard seats with top tether points as well. So yeah, really not impressed here in terms of the packaging and the space available. Okay, cargo space. So push this little button here. It is a powered tailgate. Up it goes. Now, you do have a little bit of storage under the floor here. So that's where you'll find your space saver spare tyre plus the jack. In total, you have just under 500 litres worth of cargo space available here. Got some hooks off to the side there and then some netting as well. Show you what it looks like with our bags in there. So laptop bag. Now, our suitcase is currently MIA. It's lost somewhere. So this here is kind of in between the carry-on suitcase you take on a plane and a mid-sized suitcase. That gives you an idea of how much room you have there. Then what you can do as well is drop the second row from back here by pulling these levers. So that gives you a little bit more space there. I thought I'd call this out as well. So you've got a roadside assistance kit. And then when you crack that open, it comes with all of the stuff you need if you're ever stuck on the side of the road. Bit of rain like today, you've got a poncho, you've got a towel in case you want to do a workout on the side of the road, and then a flashlight plus some gloves as well and reflective vest. So pretty cool setup there. And then in addition to that, you also have a first aid kit too. So Look, I think when they're trying to go for their sort of luxury theme, they're fitting the brief because they're adding stuff like this that you really just don't find in cars anymore. So it is pretty cool to see that they are actually thinking about that stuff. We have hit the road in the G70 Shooting Brake. Now, I've mentioned this a couple of times now, but this is only available in Australia with the 2-litre turbo 4. I would love to see this with a twin turbo V6, but this is what we have to work with. So that produces 179 kilowatts of power and 353 newton meters of torque. So it's actually not that bad, given that this car weighs around that 1600 kilo mark. So it sort of sits right in there, and it's a good sort of power to weight balance. And that's all mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission with a torque converter. So no dual clutch setup here, all just torque converter. And it means that it is nice and smooth while it's driving, and you're getting that sort of communication through the gearbox without those abrupt changes, especially at low speed. And the interesting thing here is this is rear wheel drive. You get, yes, the big brakes up the front there, but a limited slip differential, which I think is pretty cool. So what does it all feel like? So if I give this a little boot here, okay, so the reason I'm laughing is I can hear it making a whole bunch of noise, but it's not actually going all that fast, so I'll be quiet. Hear that sound? So that is the active sound design. That means it is plumbing noise through these speakers. Thankfully, you can switch all of that off here through the menu, and I think that is probably the smarter thing to do. But in terms of how it feels, it's actually nice and responsive behind the wheel. It feels like it's on its tippy toes, and it's a bit hard to describe, but what I mean there is as you apply the throttle, it feels like it's sort of sitting up and it's sort of getting ready to attack. So it does sort of feel nice behind the wheel, and that's just in its standard drive mode. You have a bunch of drive modes here to choose from. You've got Eco, Comfort, Sport Plus and Custom. Genesis claims a combined fuel economy of 9.1 litres per 100 Ks. Let's have a quick sticky beak here at what we are doing. So we're currently on 10.7, so you know, kind of close to that figure. We have been having a little fang around here today, so it is obviously going to be a little higher than usual, but if you do a lot of highway driving, this is where this engine really excels, because it's not a huge amount of weight to be moving, and it's not going to be using all that much fuel to get you there. Okay, let's talk about the ride. So I'll dial up the speed a little bit here to highway speeds, and we've got our sine waves here, our continuous undulations. This car, of course, doesn't have an Australian ride and handling tune, so Hyundai is doing less and less of that in Australia. Look, it actually doesn't feel too bad here. The body has a fair bit of control to it, even in sport mode where it's nice and smooth. So yeah, pretty impressed with that. I'm noticing a lot of tyre noise coming into the cabin though. So at highway speeds on these coarse chip roads, you really do have a lot of noise that filters in through the cabin via those tyres. So yeah, I wish there was just a little bit more quietness here in the cabin while driving. Let's talk visibility. So down the sides there, the wing mirrors are a decent size. You have a blind spot monitor built into those. But like I mentioned to you, when you put the indicator on, have a look at that. You have a camera come up on either side. So that's giving you some really good flexibility and visibility down the side of the car. Vision out the rear is not too bad. The envelope is big enough there, so you can clearly see out the back there without any dramas. And in terms of low speed driving, steering feel, it is very light at low speed, so it is easy to park. So let's put it into sport mode and see what it feels like. It is a little wet out here today, so I'm going to be a little gingerly with the throttle. But we'll dial it through this corner here and get on that. Okay, there you go. So it sounds like it's going quick, but it's not too bad. So the body doesn't sit dead flat because this doesn't get adaptive damping here in Australia, but it is surprisingly agile as the speeds pick up. Sort of it bounces around a little bit if you hit a bump mid-corner, but it is pretty confidence-inspiring. When I mentioned earlier it feels like it's on its tippy toes, that's where you got to watch out when you get on the throttle, because it is pretty eager to rotate if you get on the throttle hard, but it's got a really good balance there between fun and sort of the agility that you'd expect to feel behind the wheel. I've got a slightly faster corner coming through here. Yeah, it actually doesn't feel too bad. It changes direction easily as well. So I mentioned earlier that you do have the limited slip differential. That means that if you do want to be a little bit silly, especially if it's wet and you switch everything off, you can seriously hang this thing out sideways. So it doesn't have quite enough power to have that kind of fun when it's dry, but if it is wet, it's kind of like a drift wagon. I think it's pretty cool. Genesis claims a 0 to 100 time of 6.4 seconds. It is a little bit damp today, so we've done the run twice, once with stability control on, once with it off, and this is how it went up against our stopwatch. So the G70 Shooting Brake. Look, from a design perspective, it looks sensational. Out on the road, it cuts a fine line. And look, if you're not going to get an SUV and you want to buck the trend, get something that looks as good as this does, especially if you can get it with like a matte color. I think that'd be the way to go. Look, ultimately, I was a little bit disappointed with the 4-cylinder turbo. I wasn't expecting it to, pull the, skin off my face or anything like that, but I was hoping it would be a little bit quicker and a bit more engaging to drive. To its credit, if it is wet and you switch everything off, it can be like a little sort of power slide machine, which I think is pretty cool. But I would love to see it with a turbo V6, and it's a real shame we don't get that here in Australia. So anyway, what can you do? Now, let me know in the comments section below, have you bought a Genesis before? What's it like? They've just introduced a guaranteed future value program in Australia, so I think that should help people get into them and know what the car's going to be worth down the track. And if you did buy one, what's it like to live with? Is it expensive to run, and what is it like long term? If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you share it with your mates, hit the like button, and if you haven't done so, subscribe to our channel. But until next time, take it easy.